Welcome guys. So this is the measurement I'm working with for this class. This is a bustier blouse. Some people call it Igbo blouse, and it's an off shoulder blouse. So because it's an off shoulder, from the shoulder line I'll be removing 4 inches before we start our inputting our measurement. So then the shoulder I'm working with is 15 inches. On fold it will give me 7.5 inches. That is the point I just made there. Then for the armhole width, I'll be measuring, remember we remove 4 inches from shoulder line, so this is me inputting the armhole depth of 9 inches. Then the bust point, shoulder to bust point, which is 10 inches. Then shoulder to under bust, 13.5 inches. You start marking those points. 13.5 inches for the under bust line, and for the waistline is 16 inches. Then the blouse length I'm working with is 24 inches. That is the length of the blouse, the entire length of the blouse, 24 inches. Then with the aid of the straight ruler, I start to make a straight line on those points that I've just made. Make a line straight across the paper, a straight line, for us to be able to input our measurement easily. And then when we label, so that we can easily recognize what each of the lines stand for. That is me ruling across all the lines. Remember, for the off shoulder, it depends on how low you want your top to be. You can remove as much as 7 inches, but if you don't want the cleavage of the person to be showing, you can remove 4 inches or 5 inches. But for this class we are removing 4 inches. Then I start to label the lines. That is the chest line, the bust point there, or you call it nipple to nipple point. That is the under bust line, the waist line, and then to the M line. Those are the lines that we have. That is the M line, the total length of the blouse. Then the nipple to nipple measurement we are working with is 7 inches, which is 3.5. Then I add half an inch to make it 4 inches for joining, so that you don't your nipple to nipple measurement is not short when you start when you join your fabric together after cutting out. So that is me ruling a straight line across the nipple to nipple measurement. Then I'll be removing 2 inches for the dart. So I'll be removing, that's half of an inch to that side, and the other side I'll be removing 1.5 inches, making 2 inches altogether on the under bust line, and on the waist line 2 inches. Remember, you can use 2.5 inches, you can use 3 inches, depending on what you are working with and who you are making it for. Then on the M line, on the M of the blouse, I'll not remove up to that because I don't want it to be tight on the hip line. So that is me removing 1 inch to the other side and 1/4 inch on the other side. Altogether that is 1 inch, 1/4 inch on this side. Then on the other side a half and quarter, that is 3/4 inch. Then I join the under bust line to the waist line before joining it to the M line, because it's not a perfect straight line. So that's how you join it. You can use freehand, and you can use your ruler to draw your lines while joining your points together. You can see how it's looking. That is not a perfect straight line. Then you connect to the bust line. Those lines that you have made, you connect it to the bust point. That is me connecting the lines together with the aid of that straight ruler. You can see that the joining is looking sharp a bit. We are going to blend it before we cut out. And I want to come down by 1 inch, 1.5 inches, sorry, 1.5 inches. That is making a total of 5.5 inches. That is our chest line. That is where our chest line will be starting from. Then I'll be marking 4 inches for the nipple to nipple line that we have drawn under. So I'll be connecting, before connecting it to that line, I'll be marking 1 inch on both sides, sorry, 1 inch on both sides to for our over bust tightening. Remember, over bust tightening, 1 inch on both sides, making 2 inches. That is me joining the straight line, the nipple line, to the ones that we have drawn on the bust, on the bust line, then the under bust line. That is me connecting the 1 inch on the two sides of the bust point line of the nipple to nipple line to draw our over bust tightening. Remember, this is me blending the sharp joining. For us, we don't want it to be too pointy. That is me blending it to have some kind of curves there. So I've done the over bust tightening up there. You can use 1/4 for the over bust tightening, depending on whatever works for you, but I'm using 1 inch. So on the bust line, I'll be coming down by 1 inch for the dart. I want it to have a dart on that side. I want the bustier to come out well, so that is me joining the dart line on the bust point that I've just made, connecting it to the bust point. Then I start to input the measurement of the person that I'm working with. Then I had 1/2 inch for the joining of the, after removing the dart lines. So that is me inputting the measurement. Then before we start inputting the seam allowance, then the waist measurement of 34 inches. That is what I've just done. I'm inputting the 2 inches that we've removed for the dart line there. That is me trying to blend the measurement together from the under bust line to the hem line there. I didn't want to use a ruler at first. I was thinking of using freehand to blend it together, but it's not looking fine, so I'm still going to use the ruler. While after inputting the seam allowance, I'm using 2 inches for the seam allowance all through, from the chest line to the, from the armhole depth to the hem line of the blouse. So I'm trying to use a ruler here for us to have a beautiful curve. That is me using the ruler there to blend the lines together. You can see it's looking finer than the first one we made. Then I'm trying to blend the sharp edges together. So I'll be drawing the armhole curve. That is me trying to use a freehand there. You can decide to use your curve ruler too to make that curve there. Then that is me cutting the entire blouse out. I'm cutting it out. Then I'll open the dart legs there to close the one on the armhole side. We're cutting it out like so, like that, till we get to the chest line. I'm opening the dart legs. I'll be removing those ones, we don't need them. I'll cut it out till it gets to the chest line as well. You can see that the curve is coming out beautifully well. Then I'll close the dart there. That dart that I just made, that is the shaded area. We'll be closing it. We don't need that area too. You can decide to cut it out and use a tape to seal it up, or you can fold it the way I'm doing. But when you are folding, ensure that you don't have a fold at the center of the paper that you are using for your pattern. So that is it. Then you blend that area up, blend it up. After closing that leg, then you cut out here, cut it out like that. Then we'll cut the excess out too. Remember, we already input our seam allowance while inputting our measurement there, so that is what we are left with. Then you come up here and cut it out. Cut out the entire pattern like that. like so. So this is what we are left with. This is our pattern for the bustier blouse. That's our pattern out there. Blend it. Just remember I told you you can use a sellotape. So I'll be cutting it out on the fabric. I'm using a 1 yard of cord fabric because the person is not that big. I'll be using 1 yard of fabric for both the front and the back. But for the sleeves, I'm not using the cord for the entire sleeves. I just need it for the upper part of the sleeve. So that is why I'll be able to use this 1 yard of fabric for the top. But if you are big, you can use 1.5, or you buy 2 yards for you to be the safer side. I'm working with a yard of cord lace fabric. So I'll be cutting out the front panel first before moving to the back. For the back, I don't really need to draft a pattern, but if you need me to explain how to draft the back pattern for you, I will explain that. My fabric is moving. I'm trying to ensure that it stays. That's why I'm using that Vaseline container to hold it in place. Then I don't want you remember I'm working with 1 yard of fabric. I don't want to waste it, so I'm really trying to manage it and to see that I don't waste the fabric, because every inch of that fabric counts for me. I don't want to go back to the market and that is all I have. I'm trying to manage it before I place my pattern paper on it. So that is me placing the paper on it. But if it will not be enough, I'm still going to extend it. Yes, you can see it's not enough, so I have to extend it. That is me extending the fabric, the fold of the fabric, to accommodate my pattern paper. Remember, I want the edge of the lace to show at the down part, so I'll not be cutting it out. I'm just leaving like half of an inch on that hem part. You call it selvage or hem of the lace. So that is it. I'm just trying to arrange my pattern paper on it before I cut out. You know, I can't just come straight to the fabric and start cutting. It will waste my fabric. That is the essence of us drawing pattern paper. So I'll come up by half of an inch. You can add, remember we remove 5.5 inches for the off shoulder part. So this is me adding half of an inch or quarter. You can add quarter of an inch or half of an inch for the joining, for turning the upper side of the fabric. Remember, we are not turning it at the downside because I want the lace part to show, the selvage to show at the hem of the fabric. So that is me cutting out our pattern on the fabric using the pattern paper that I've drafted. See, you see how beautiful it will come out when we start joining. You can see that my scissors is getting blunt. I need to get a new one, but I'm still going to be using it for this class. So trying to cut out that part on the pattern paper. Using it, I'm using it to cut out the fabric. After cutting out, I'll as well cut the lining that I'm using taffeta to line the fabric, so I'll cut it out as well. Then we'll go, after adding our wording, you can use wording, you can use foam, you can use a bra cup, ready-made or the one you want to make for yourself. But for this very design, I'll be using wording. So after ironing your wording on the lining, we'll be using it to turn the lace, then we'll join it, and then our bustier top is ready. So I'm still trying to cut the lace out. I should have been done by now, but for the scissors that is getting blunt, I have to really be patient with it, and cord can be very difficult to cut out because some of them are very thick. They are very thick material, so I have to be very patient while cutting it out. So after cutting out, I will go and cut out my lining, then I will cut out the wording and will iron the wording on the lining. And then remember, you are going to double your lining because this is lace fabric you are